It's day 8 in the criminal trial for Sean Diddy Combs. Let's take a look at what happened inside the courtroom. Diddy's ex-girlfriend, singer Cassie Ventura, faced her first day of cross-examination by defense attorneys. Diddy's attorneys tried to paint the relationship as loving and willing, having her read text messages and emails that the two exchanged over their relationship. Now, Ventura clarified, saying the messages were not indicative of their entire decade-long relationship. Defense attorneys also tried to portray Ventura as a consensual participant in the freak-offs and swingers lifestyle. To break down the first day of cross-examination, let's bring in former Florida State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg. Now, Dave, what did you think about cross-examination today? Defense had Cassie read all these text messages and emails. Did it land for you?
Sophia, I thought the defense actually scored some points because they showed that for at least part of the relationship, she consented to some of these freak-offs. Now, consent can end. You can revoke it. You can change the relationship you're with, but it does take off some of the innocence from Cassie that she projected in her direct testimony by some of these really raunchy text messages that went back and forth and showed that she was looking forward to some of the freak-offs and that she even helped set them up, buying the candles and working on them. So in that sense, I do think that the defense scored some points. But of course, relationships like life are complicated, and you could have relationships where you could be consensual for some things and non-consensual for others, where you have love sometimes and hate other times. So it's up to the jury to be able to sort this all out.
So defense attorneys have already said that the feature of their cross-examination with Cassie is going to be infidelity. Infidelity on his part, infidelity on her part. What is the strategy behind going for this infidelity? The key here.
Well, they want to put Cassie on trial a bit. They want to dirty her up, to show that she's not so innocent. She's not a true victim, that she was someone who was cunning and someone who was cheating on Diddy and someone who was using Diddy while she was doing things behind his back. So that's part of it. They want to put the victim on trial for at least a part of it. Now, I don't know if that's going to work because they still have that very powerful, very devastating video of her getting beaten up by Diddy. That shows the part of force you need to prove a human trafficking case. But also they want to show that this is a back and forth situation where you had both sides cheating on each other. And it's just like many domestic violence incidents where it's caused by infidelity. The defense wants this to be a domestic violence case. Domestic violence is not one of the charges here. They want the jury to think, you know what, this should be dealt with in state court with a domestic violence case. It is not human trafficking. It is not racketeering. It's not transporting people over state lines for purposes of prostitution. Not guilty. That's their goal. And if they can show that there was infidelity on both sides, and that's what motivated the anger, the force, and not anything more like human trafficking, well, then that would be a victory for the defense.
You know, a lot of people thought that the defense attorney who cross-examined Cassie would go in pretty hard. But, she's been relatively less aggressive, less combative, kind of a little bit more of a gentle tone. What is the strategy behind that?
You have a woman who came across really well on the stand and who happens to be 8 months pregnant. So why would you go at her that hard? It'll just backfire in your face. And so you have to be very careful with her. And that's why you use a woman as the defense lawyer, not some dude who will look overbearing. You have a woman who tries to be sensitive. At one point, she actually told Cassie that she was beautiful. I mean, that's the kind of thing that the defense is trying to do. They're trying to gain their own credibility in front of the jury, because it's not just the defendant on trial. In a way, it's also the defense lawyers. And so they think if the jury likes the defense lawyers, they'll also like the defendant. And all it takes is one juror to have some reasonable doubt, and it's a hung jury.
Thank you so much, Dave. Really appreciate your insights today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.